All right, this is really important. This is so important. I'm even going to take my Sharpie out for this. I am really glad to have some time today to do a deep dive on videos from a focus group with Trump supporters. This was hosted on Monday night, 2 days before the inauguration of Joe Biden. We've been talking about what do we do now about 75 million Trumpists? How do we deprogram? And it's really an important insight into the mind of the Trump voter and what we're up against for these next 2 and 4 years. This is a focus group done by Frank Luntz, a longtime Republican focus group guy who has been anti-Trump for some time. And if we are to understand how to deprogram Trumpists, we have to understand how they ended up believing the things they believe. And this is the perfect window through which to do that. So let's get right in. We're going to have lots of analysis of this, but let's get right into the first clip. And let me know whether you find this type of segment useful.
Raise your hands if you think that Donald Trump actually won the election. If all the votes were counted accurately, who thinks he won it? All but one of you. Okay, Denise, where's the number one source for news for you?
I love watching Fox News. I love listening to the news because I drive a lot for a living. And right now, by the way, I'm living in Washington, D.C. I'm staying with my daughter these past 2 weeks, and it's a nightmare here. It's a nightmare. But I listen to the news. And what I just heard recently, that they're comparing us to the KKK. One of the newscasters, any Republican, it's disgusting.
Okay, so Denise thinks Trump won. She likes to listen to Fox News. Washington is a nightmare. And she heard that she, as a Trump supporter, is being equated to the KKK because she voted for Trump. So notice that there's a total lack of awareness that the reason Washington on Monday was a dystopian nightmare with troops on every corner is because of other Trumpists who violently rioted on January 6th. And she says, I've been watching Fox News, which has not actually made the connection that Trump incited the pro-Trump mob that did the rioting. So it's really important to see how her beliefs are directly informed by how Fox did, or maybe better said, did not cover the riots. The link between what you watch and what you believe is very, very clear. This is not trivial. Let's continue.
Randy, where do you get your news from? What do you watch?
I used to watch Fox News up until the election. So now I kind of just looking online. I was getting it from Twitter, but I deleted my Twitter account once they censored the president. So now I don't even really know where to get my news because I don't know what's true and what's not. I don't know what to believe from anywhere. I just feel like nothing.
So there's a lot there. That's just 27 seconds, but listen to how much telling information is released there. She used to watch Fox, but not anymore. Increasingly common among Trumpists. She used to get news on Twitter until they censored Trump. So notice that even where she used to get her news, that's not news. Fox News isn't news. Twitter itself isn't news, although there can be news articles posted to Twitter. But I would be interested in seeing who these folks are following on Twitter. So it's a lack of media literacy. For years, I've been pointing out, rather than just arguing with people about the facts, if we establish a foundation of media literacy, you insulate people from even falling prey to a lot of this stuff. This is a perfect example. This is exactly what I've been talking about for a decade. Then a guy yells that she should be getting her news from Breitbart and Newsmax, another self-parody. Let's continue.
Wendy, where do you get your news from?
Newsmax, formerly from Fox. Occasionally I'll watch the 5. Talk radio.
So another example of a former Fox viewer. And she says, sometimes I will watch the 5 on Fox News. Again, the 5 is an opinion show on Fox, which she says she's getting news from. This is a case study in everything I've been saying about media literacy for the last decade on the show. Now, Frank Luntz asks why so many of them have stopped watching Fox News. Take a listen.
Who here has stopped watching Fox since the election?
Half and half.
Charles, why did you stop watching Fox?
I stopped watching Fox a couple of years back. I just saw them sliding further and further and further to the left, and I I have CNN for that. I have MSNBC for that. I don't need Fox to go to the left. So I get it. My news from Breitbart, Newsmax.
Meredith, why'd you stop watching Fox?
Oh, me, I didn't so much. And when you say news, I know where I get my opinions, but news, unless I see it with my own eyes anymore, I don't believe anything. It's pretty terrible, actually.
Well,
I don't know.
How do you know the election was stolen if you don't believe anything?
I don't know it was stolen. I know that when somebody wins an election at 4 a.m. and people stop voting, that's just not how we do things.
Fox is too left for the first guy. He went to Breitbart and Newsmax. Meredith doesn't believe anything anymore. That's an example of when skepticism goes too far. Healthy skepticism is good. Unquenchable skepticism leads to you believing nothing, and it's completely unproductive. So this is really instructive because our beliefs about these people, they might seem like satirical caricatures, but it's literally what they're saying and what they believe. Now, if you think that this is useful, I do want to hear from you. If you think to me, this is endlessly instructive, and I hope it is for the audience. So now Frank Luntz gets into beliefs about a so-called stolen election. And now the focus group participants start getting more agitated.
That's all we ever wanted was an
That's all we asked
investigation.
for.
We were told to
Let
move
the vote.
along. Nothing happening here.
That's
Just
right.
keep moving. Don't look. Don't ask questions.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's absolutely
And we
absurd.
look and we ask questions when we see a guy who campaigned from his damn basement,
Mhm.
who had 12 people show up at his rallies, gets 80 million votes. Come on.
Yeah, it doesn't
Right.
make sense. So
Just
I'm a business
investigate,
analyst
just-
and I look at numbers all day. And I when I went to bed at night, Pennsylvania had we were up, and then when I woke up, 900,000 votes all of a sudden went to Biden, and he won by what, like 3% in Pennsylvania? It doesn't make sense. Like if you look at the numbers, they don't make sense. And so then I listened to the hearings, all the hearings. I listened to all single people talking about it. Something happened. Congress is not doing their due diligence to investigate this.
They
I don't
don't
know if
want to
it's because they-
investigate it.
Right, because it'll take
don't want to.
forever. It'll take
Let's see it.
forever.
No, it'll take their
Doesn't have
power.
to take forever.
It'll
Well-
take their power.
I don't want to see
Exactly.
it.
And then
Like
when they
Fox?
played a game like they were going to do something, they weren't going to do anything. It's like for the next election.
We can come to only one conclusion from listening to that. And unfortunately, it's that the country is in real, true, deep, serious trouble, like really, really deep. Remember, talking about hearings, those were legally irrelevant hearings where no one was under oath. None of their claims were verified, period. And that's why she thinks it was rigged. And it keeps going, and they start getting each other more and more wound up.
But we got to live with the results of this one that was stolen.
Right.
Right.
Why should we vote? Tell me why.
Thank you.
I mean, look at Georgia. Exactly the same process was used in Georgia, and whoop-de-doo surprise, the
Absolutely.
Dimshemiks got elected.
Well,
So,
look at what
why should
look
we
at what
vote?
look at what
I don't
Nancy
see a
Pelosi is
reason.
doing with HR1. Her first bill of the new Congress is to submit into law the very things that they used to steal this election.
Yep.
And now they got the majority to pass it. They're going to change the rules and keep power. That's what I fear for about my children, is that this is not the America that we grew up in, because they're going to change the rules just like Adolf Hitler did, just like Fidel Castro, just like
Are you
Chavez. It's
really
going to
want-
happen.
Are you sure you really want to compare Joe Biden and the Democrats with Adolf Hitler? You sure you
Yes.
wanna do that?
It's not
The
Joe Biden.
methodology, absolutely.
Him and Harris.
Methodology's there.
So there, as predicted, they think not only was Georgia stolen from Trump, it was also stolen in January from Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. It's not even a possibility for most of these folks that maybe Trump lost and Loeffler lost and Perdue lost. And then, of course, he raises a comparison between 2021 Democrats and Adolf Hitler, and others in the focus group like it. Others in the focus group say, yes, that's a correct comparison. So this is really stunning stuff. And if you're wondering, how do you deprogram that? I don't have the answer. The point here is for us to understand how deep the programming is. It's horrific. Then the topic is, how do you feel about the January 6th Trump riots?
Are you proud of what they did at the Capitol?
I am sympathetic to what they did at the Capitol. I am absolutely sympathetic because I feel like I have nowhere to go after this last election. What am I supposed to do? I can't vote them out. They're going to refuse to be voted out. No term limits, no balanced budget. They're going to refuse to be voted out. I'm sympathetic.
I think the congressman should be pulled out, and each of them face a tribunal and face punishment for how they betrayed our country over all these years. Every one of them should have to face the American people for what they've done.
How many people agree with Frank? I'm curious. How many people? I agree with Frank. These guys that should have a reckoning come. No, that Frank, not you, Frank.
Yes, I want to make it clear. This is agreeing with Frank from Florida, not me. Jim, I know
Frank's coming from. I do. He wants a reckoning. He wants to know why these people have betrayed us, and he wants them to stand up there and say, "Yeah, I betrayed you for money or power or a Chinese spy or whoever it is."
In that one, I actually am unsure who they're referring to in terms of having a tribunal for members of Congress. To me, if you say, David, who needs to face consequences? It's the Republicans that supported the Trump election coup attempts. But I have a sense that those Trumpists are talking about Democrats facing a tribunal. I don't know. And in this next clip, they say more about the allegedly fraudulent nature of the election. But then there's a really interesting guy here, Jim from Michigan, who doesn't think the election was stolen and quit the Republican Party. So listen to him. This is a really important moment of clarity.
And the reckoning is normally an election, but we don't have that anymore.
No, don't have that anymore.
Powerless.
You know, I'm sitting here listening to all this, and I left the Republican Party about 3 weeks ago because of what I saw at the Capitol. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed for the president. I voted for him twice. I had my lawn signs out. I had my flag up. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed because look at COVID, how that's totally out of control right now. You don't hear from this man anymore. Pence has got to go around, and what he did to Vice President Pence and threw him under the bus.
That was bad.
I will never.
Wow, I see that the other way around, Jim.
No, I disagree. Pence could not do anything under the Constitution. Could not do anything. Pence did what he had to do.
Pence had 2 months. Pence had 2 months before he came out and gave that letter. He had 2 months to say what he thought, and he betrayed us, just like the Democrats and the Republicans have. Pence had 2 months, and he remained silent.
So that's Jim from Michigan. Jim says Trump failed on COVID. He abandoned his own vice president, and Jim is embarrassed. So here's the takeaway. That's a focus group with 12 Trump voters. 11 of them, just 48 hours, not even 36 hours before the inauguration of Joe Biden, are completely disconnected from reality, and they seem to be beyond reach. 11 of those 12 people, I don't even know how we reached them. One of the 12, Jim from Michigan, actually saw what happened and saw things for what they are and said, I can't be a part of this. This is wrong. And he sort of seems to have deprogrammed himself. That's really rare. And the fact that 1 out of 12 people did that is very important. That may be the proportion that we're working with in terms of what portion of these people can reasonably be deprogrammed. And as you can imagine, 1 out of 12 is not enough. It's not enough to fix the problems that we have in this country. It's not a great percentage. So hopefully, this is really good work, actually, by Frank Luntz. Hopefully, this helps us to understand the issue. And the more we understand it, the more of a shot we have at fixing it. And we'll be talking more in the coming weeks about how it can maybe be fixed. But as you can see, that's an uphill battle. That's a real uphill battle. We'll have more on this on our Instagram page at David Pakman Show on Instagram. While you're there, follow me on Instagram at david.pakman. I'm really excited that one of our sponsors today is Helix Sleep. I sleep on a Helix mattress at home. I absolutely love it. And that's why I reached out to them about sponsoring the David Pakman Show. Buying a mattress in the past was always a huge guessing game for me. I didn't know what I actually needed. I didn't know what I would like. But Helix has a sleep quiz on their website. You tell them your body type, your sleeping position, your back pain issues you might have, and their tool matched me with a mattress that is perfect for me. It's cool enough at night. It's the right firmness. I generally just do way better sleeping these days because of the mattress. Helix was awarded #1 best overall mattress for the last 2 years by both GQ and Wired Magazine. It is well-deserved, I can tell you firsthand. Every Helix mattress comes with a 10-year warranty. You can try the mattress risk-free for 100 nights, and they will even come pick it up at your house if you don't love it, but I know you will. All of my viewers will get up to $200 off your order, and you'll get 2 super premium pillows for free when you go to the link right underneath this video.